Now, despite a lot of coverage of the impeachment hearings filled with a lot of damning testimony, I mean, you had Fiona Hill, um, you had Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch, and you had Gordon Sondland. Very, very disastrous testimony for when it came to President Trump. Despite all that, you have Republicans that still back Donald Trump a lot. In fact, they think that he's a better leader than Abraham Lincoln. That's crazy, man. Now, let me show you the polling on this. According to this week's Economist YouGov weekly tracking poll, 53% of Republicans said Trump was a better president than Lincoln. Over half, 53%. The man who ended slavery, and yet over half of all Republicans said, yeah, no, we'll take Trump. We'll take this guy. Wait. Okay, look, maybe it shouldn't be a surprise, considering the amount of naked racism within the Republican Party. And they would look at the guy like, Honest Abe and think, oh, no, he freed the slaves. We're not in favor of that. I don't know. Compare that to the rest of America. And maybe that's unfair. But anyway, 75% of Americans prefer Lincoln over Trump, obviously, compared to about 25%. With the vast majority of Democrats and independents, of course, choosing Abraham Lincoln, which is obvious. What the hell is wrong with the Republican Party? I guess there's a lot. I mean, look, we've detailed on the show many of the different crimes and the grifts that President Trump has ran, even before he was president. Again, running a fake university in New York that got shut down, running a fake charity, among other things, among the other failed businesses that he had ran. All he can do is run scams. And so I don't understand, right? Yet 87% of Republicans in the Republican Party, the GOP, somewhat or strongly approve of the job he's doing as president right now. Despite all that, despite the fact that all he did was tax cuts for the rich, despite not building the wall, despite basically doing nothing, he takes 6 hours of executive time to watch Fox News and tweet. I mean, who could be in favor of that? Who could say, oh, no, you know what? That's my guy. He's nailing it. Approve. Now, here's the thing. The reason is cult of personality. Donald Trump has Republicans so convinced that he is on their side, especially when it comes to the working class Republicans. Okay. Remember, guy gave the rich $1.5 trillion worth of tax cuts. Again, 83% of those of the value of those tax cuts went to the richest Americans. Republican workers still think, oh no, this is going to trickle down to me. I can't wait for it to do, for that to trickle down. And we know, of course, that doesn't happen. Those of us living in the real world know that trickle-down economics just does not actually work because, well, George W. Bush did it, Ronald Reagan did it, and now Donald Trump did it. And yet, still doesn't seem to work. Weird. But look, here's the thing. They don't represent the workers, Republicans. They represent the bosses. They represent people like Donald Trump, the companies. And here's the thing. If you say your party, the Republican Party, says, well, we support business, we support small business. Well, they don't actually do a good job at that. No, a lot of small businesses are getting crushed. Why? Because these big businesses, without regulations and with all this lobbying power, or through their massive amounts of money, are crushing these small businesses and taking over. And so, look, the Republican Party is in for big corporations because that essentially is who funds them. Now, Republican workers should be able to see this. All you got to do is follow the money. I mean, but however, the Republican Party, they've gotten really good at messaging. And here's what they do. They blame the others. They point at the problems facing normal workers, Republican, workers especially, small town people don't really pay attention to politics, but know that there's a problem. And they say, well, it's not us, it's not the companies. No. It's one, big daddy government, too big, which it's kind of a nebulous concept to begin with, big government, right? And it all depends on how like your point of view on that. And also, they will point at minorities. Say, no, it's not the companies that are hiring people that are undocumented and keeping them low wages. No. It's the Mexicans coming over the border that are causing your wages to go low. It's not the company's fault. It's the immigrants. And so if all we did was deport all the immigrants and build a wall at massive taxpayer expense, then maybe you'll have decent wages one day. And by the way, while we're taking all your tax money and stealing from the military, which is what they're doing, and putting it towards a wall, we're going to tell you that we cannot spend that money on getting you cheaper health care through Medicare, being able to expand Medicare to everyone. Again, Medicare is one of the most popular programs in the country. A lot of seniors have, like all the seniors have it. I shouldn't say anybody over 65 has Medicare. And you ask anybody over 65, hey, would you rather get rid of Medicare and have total private insurance instead of supplementary? They would say, no, we love our Medicare. In fact, Republicans absolutely love Medicare. And I'm saying Republican voters. Republican politicians, again, their donors are in the health care industry. And so they hate the government. And they want to privatize Medicare, which is deeply, deeply unpopular. But they say that we cannot spend that tax money that we already take from you to pay for Medicare and, apply it to Medicare for all and then tax the rich to pay for Medicare for all, because that's socialism. We can't also touch the rich through a wealth tax because that's socialism. That's class warfare. And if you do that, you will disincentivize the rich to create jobs, even though, what they claim will create jobs through massive tax cuts doesn't actually create more jobs. You look at what happened with the Trump tax cuts. There was studies on this. There was no additional amount of job creation over what we had already have previous to the tax cuts. They added no benefit in job creation or raising wages. But it did lead to a lot of stock buybacks and a lot of rich people getting a hell of a lot richer. But here's the thing. Republicans are literally, the voters are being lied to, divided, and enraged through BS social issues. For example, gay marriage, trans rights, all that stuff. Who cares? I mean, look, who cares if the gays get married? It doesn't affect you. A woman making the choice to have an abortion doesn't affect you. You may not like it personally, and that's fine. It's perfectly fine to have that point of view. But at the same time, you should not be, and it is not fine to mandate big government come in and tell her what to do with her own body. Because look, at the end of the day, if you're not the one having the abortion, you're not affected. Why should you care about that? But you know what affects you? Policy, healthcare, wages, regulations, rules put in place to protect consumers. Republicans cannot see that, and again, I'm talking to about the voters here. Republicans can't see that the party does not represent them. That only works for their donors who don't want any of this stuff, who want to keep you divided and keep you distracted. If you think that, by the way, if you think that I'm saying the Democrats are perfect, oh, hell no. No, the Democrats, in large part, also take money from corporations. So they're all funded essentially by the same people. And so Trump is another politician. He's a slimy politician. Now, he claims to be anti-establishment. But in reality, he supports the establishment as long as it supports him financially. And that's the thing. The only thing that's different here is that Donald Trump is far more open about his racist stereotyping. Now, that's interesting, right? And so, look, is Trump a Klan, hood-wearing racist? No, we know him. He's full of the stereotypes. He believes these stereotypes because he's not a bright person. And all he sees is those simple, stereotypes. Mexicans are lazy, black people are criminals and thugs, all that stuff. And so, it, and you know, that's what he believes in, right? And so this is the prism that he views the world from and views politics from. And so that resonates when he talks about that stuff. It resonates with a lot of people who, again, are being crushed by the establishment, are not getting ahead, and would rather take the simple way out of blaming immigrants, blaming minorities, and Democrats for their actual problems, when in reality, it is the system that is the problem. And look, it is always easier to blame minorities than to actually take on the system that apparently a lot of these people have put a lot of trust into. Oh, no, I trust my employer to be fair to me. Doesn't always work out like that. I'm not saying every employer is terrible to their employees or doesn't care, but I'm saying that there's a lot of big corporations that do not care about their workers, that see them as disposable, and given the chance, they will pay them as little as possible. And so there is that. And now you add all this right-wing media. Now, right-wing media is funded by a bunch of billionaires, and they push for policy that helps, shockingly, other billionaires and themselves, and not the workers. The GOP is the most anti-worker organization to exist. And so, look, what you get here is on corporate media, on right wing media, you've got massive pro-rich, pro-Trump feedback loops that are really designed to protect the rich. And look, that's what people in power who are wealthy, who do control the system, that's what they do. They protect their own. They protect their own power. And they protect their own privilege. And so that's why this isn't a surprise. Republicans preferring Trump to Lincoln or Trump to basically anyone else, well, it doesn't surprise me because they don't know the reality of who Trump is. Fox News, for example, tells its viewers not to watch the impeachment hearings because they're so boring. In reality, they might actually learn something. They might actually learn things that they weren't exposed to before. Again, going to the media, right? That they basically control what you see and what you hear and their points of view. And so Fox News is, yes, sometimes forced to cover the impeachment, and sometimes they decide not to. Again, saying, oh, it's boring. Don't pay attention to it. It doesn't really matter. Now, would they say that if there was exculpatory evidence presented at these hearings? Well, of course they would, because it helps their political side. It helps them politically. But when it comes to for example, people like Gordon Sondland, who, by the way, supported Donald Trump, gave him over $1 million, and then got appointed as the EU ambassador, going up and testifying how, yes, quid pro quo, yes, there was extortion between Trump and Zelensky when it came to Ukraine, when it came to trying to get dirt on the Bidens, which you were not supposed to do. That is a crime. They never see that stuff. Or when they do, they make sure, the hosts do on Fox, to obfuscate or to lie for the president and to make sure that they protect that. There are some people on Fox News that do not do that. Shep Smith used to do it, and Andrew Napolitano, to his great credit, also. Even Neil Cavuto has spoke out against the president as well. And so there are those voices on Fox, but there are very, very few and far between. Mostly what you have is pro-Trump coverage. And so there are a lot of people that don't get access to this information on the highest rated news channel in the country. And so part of this problem is the media. Now, not only that, but there are people that do watch this stuff, that do consume media, and they are conditioned to basically see information that they don't agree with as fake news. And so that's the other problem that we have. And so all this is to basically say, to make the point of that right now, our focus should not be trying to reach out to Republicans on their turf. Again, you see these polls, you see all this information, you see the strategy, and you see basically the cultish behavior of a lot of Republicans towards Donald Trump. Someone who, by the way, a lot of them didn't support, at least for the politicians. Now they have come around to, of course, being slavishly devoted to the president. We should not be focusing on Republican voters or trying to swing Republican congressmen. What we should be doing as progressives is focusing on independents and Democrats. Reaching out to Trump voters at this point is fruitless exercise because what they are at this point is immune to facts, logic, and reason because of all the other issues that I've laid out. Even so, I don't want to reach out to them, but I do want to get them health care. I actually want to boost their wages. Those Republican working class people, I want to boost your wages. I want you to be successful. I want to create America that is equitable and free for all Americans. That's what we want to do. Progressives are the only ones that are actually looking to do these things, despite the massive resistance from the very people who stand to gain, as well as, of course, establishment Democrats. This is why progressives, this is why it's us versus everyone, right? But here's the thing. Progressives, we're on the right side. We've always been on the right side of issues. And as long as we continue to fight, as we've seen through history, we will continue to win. Just not with Republican help at this point, because they are too far gone. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.